All right, boys and girls, welcome to the show, you guys. Tonight we're going to do a little recap on the Firecracker Classic and talk some RC car racing. We got some guests tonight. We're going to talk with Jimmy McKinley and Jimmy Williams and Tim Kloutman. You guys ready? Here we go. Jimmy Williams, welcome to the show. Tim, welcome to the show. Jimmy McKinley, welcome to the show. You guys, let's do a quick recap here on the Firecracker Classic, and tell me what your thoughts are, man. Let's start with Jimmy Williams. Go.
I think with how it ended up turning out with the entry numbers and everything was amazing, especially after all the COVID restrictions that we dealt with in Ohio and the very short time frames we had to technically pull it together and everybody, get there. It was a beautiful turnout. It was a nice race.
Absolutely amazing. McKinley, what do you think, man? After 10 years of building this race, did you think you'd ever get to the point where you had over 107 entries?
I was hoping we'd get back to that. As Jimmy stated, we barely had a month between the COVID restrictions lifting and getting the word out that we could have more racers at the track. Even before that, when we were still limited on the people in the building, it filled up within when I started the RC sign up stuff. That filled up almost immediately, like within 2 days.
Yeah, because it doubled, right? It was only 40 people, and then it doubled or something like that?
Yes, correct. So it was amazing to see the turnout that we got. A lot of great guys and gals showed up. So it was pretty cool to have everybody back at the race this year.
And Tim, what do you think, buddy? Did
I
you have a good time?
Great. Yeah, that was the first one I ever been to. I've never been with that many cars before.
Everybody, Tim Kloutman is now the first official Foolish Mortal team driver, dude. We're going to build this thing from the ground up. He's going to run some cars, and we're going to dial him in. And then we're going to dominate, baby. Yeah, we're going to dominate. Anyway, Firecracker Recap. Now let's talk about the point series that you guys are going to run at the gate. Starting September 4th. Jimmy Williams, give me a little rundown on how you basically put this thing together.
I know Jimmy and I had talked back and forth, and we really wanted to break back in the area at the gate on a regular. Because for this, we were only running 3 or 4 months or so. We normally didn't have time to prepare for it. When they gave us a date, we would throw it together and we'd have decent turnout. So, go ahead.
Of course, the audio is messing up, Jimmy. You're cutting in and out, buddy.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, bro, that's good.
All right. Yeah, so we basically just put our heads together to try and find some way of convincing them to allow us to have one oval race per month, and they went for it, and that's how the series has grown.
Nice.
So this will be the inaugural year, and eventually I'd like to see it go to where it was multi-state included, multi-tracks, and technically be the United Speedway Alliance that it's meant to be.
What about you, Jimmy? Any thoughts on the point series?
Yeah. Here in around the Cleveland area, there's not a whole lot of carpet oval racing. We got to travel a little ways to get our picks, I guess you could say.
Right.
And it's nice that the Norcar crew has allowed us to put a somewhat consistent schedule together. We're going to be running pretty much the first weekend of every month, except for 1 or 2 months, where they have their big races for on road. So we work around their schedule basically because we know how the oval crowd or the oval racing is up here. So we kind of worked with them and they gave us, a few dates to put something together, and that's what we came up with. So our next step is to work out the actual point system. So that'll be worked on over the next couple of weeks, and hopefully we'll have something together here soon.
Awesome, awesome. Tim, what do you think, man? A point series, you up for the game or what?
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. I think it'll be a lot more competitive, and it's going to be nice because you break down or something happens once. It's not the end. You can always make up points the next week or something. Instead of just
Yeah,
working for that trophy, you're working for something at the end of the season.
right. It's not like usually it's like a 2 race drop out of like 8 or something. Whatever you guys
Yeah, we're
figure
gonna
out.
do. I think we're having six 6 points races between September and April. There's a couple big races weekends in there, kind of give the guys a little bit of a break. And you'll be able to drop. I think we're going to drop 1 race out of the 6. So your best 5 out of 6 will count.
Okay. And up next, Friday and Saturday, August 6th through 7th, 2021, Midwest Carpet Oval Summer Nationals. What do you guys want to say about that?
Go ahead,
Starting with,
Jimmy.
yeah, Jimmy Williams, yeah.
Well, I'm definitely excited for it. Like I said, anytime we get a chance to get on the track at the gate is always a good time. I know the event's not going to be huge this first year with kickoff, but we're just basically trying to lay the groundwork for future years to build on this and get it, more like the Firecracker. Trying to make this area more of a desired destination place for premier carpet oval racing.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. There hasn't been any serious local carpet racing around here in a long time. I really look forward to uh, coming to a point series, and like Tim said, where you can uh, race your best, and if you have a bad one, you can drop it and try to be competitive at that level. Uh, I didn't start back racing until 2015. That logo that I put up from the Firecracker was the first Firecracker I was ever at. It was 2015, I believe. And racing at the Firecracker this year, after coming back in 2015 to start racing again after everything went brushless and lipo, I couldn't afford to swap over every car that I had. So I ended up, pretty much leaving the hobby. Um, the Firecracker, man, I can't even tell you. It felt just like it did racing 20 years ago. The energy in the air, the crowd, the fun, the close racing that everybody was doing. Um, that's fun. That's what it's all about. I can't wait till next year, dude. My head is absolutely reeling, reeling. It was like prom night, baby. I didn't want it to end, you know. And with a series around here where you can get enough trigger time and get enough practice and learn your car and learn your setup and then go to a bigger race and actually be somewhat competitive where you're not pulling your hair out trying to figure out, what the car needs or if the traction's coming up or whatnot, and, the myriad of crap you have to pay attention to throughout the day. So I'm really looking forward to the point series, and I'm really looking forward to the Summer Nationals and next year's Firecracker, baby. We're going to be off the hook. Off the hook. That's about all the topics I got, dude. Anything that you guys want to talk about, let's hear it. Jimmy, anybody?
I know one of the other things that we are looking forward to. Jimmy and I both worked hard with after we started the Bring Back 12 Scale Oval Racing Group,
Oh, yeah.
and I don't believe I couldn't even imagine the support that we've gotten across the board since starting that group, with the amount of people that still love the 12 scale and are willing to bring it back, I mean, we ended up with, I believe it was 9 entries at the FIrecracker Classic.
Yep. Yeah.
9, and that was less than 5 months ago. And I mean, they had it at Tornats with a nice field of 5 or 6, I think they had, and some other tracks. Like, it's gaining momentum. I know rumors are that there's some new 12 scales that might be dropping. And with the designs and everything like that, it's just the 12 scale nationals that are coming up that we're going to be hosting also will be the first year of that. And we'll have the corresponding 10 scale classes. But
I'll be in the 12 scale class for sure, baby. If I don't blow up another speed controller, I'll be in it. McKinley, what do you think, buddy? Jimmy, McKinley, anything you want to talk about?
Yeah, I lost audio again because somebody tried calling me again, so I'm going to drop out and come right back.
All right, brother.
So I will be right back.
All right, Jimmy. Tim, what do you think, man? You've only been racing for a couple years, and the races I've encountered you at, you've been struggling a little bit, man. What is the learning curve like for you?
It's hard.
One word, it's hard.
I mean, I raced asphalt for regular cars for like 26 years. So whenever I started the RC cars, I figured I can set them up, with the everything like I did the asphalt. But it's a total different ballgame.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And my biggest problem is I YouTube and stuff way too much, and then I get so confused because everybody's got their own style of driving, but got their style of setting up the cars. Not every car setup works for every driver because everybody drives different. So it's a learning process.
We'll find your setup, brother. We'll get that thing dialed in to where you can feel it, where you can tell what it needs. We'll get
it's a FIrecracker. I was really pleased with the Legend and the 21.5 truck was good. I just couldn't go anymore after the little bumper issue.
Right. But you had fun, baby, and that's the biggest,
most
I had important factor.
You couldn't tell I had a blast because I kept getting frustrated, but I was really having a blast.
Right. Awesome. Now I'm just going to open the floor up, dude. Keep going. Whatever. Spew.
So a little bit of history about the FIrecracker.
Yeah, let's hear the story about how the FIrecracker came into existence.
So I moved to Northeast Ohio in 2011. So I left all my home tracks back in Florida. So I started trying to find places to run up here. I kind of found the Hooter Chassis Outlaw Tour, which is a traveling series. It runs kind of all over Ohio, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Western New York. So I kind of started getting involved with those guys. At the time, I believe Classic Hobbies in Akron had just closed, and they had just put in off-road track there. So I'm trying to find a place to run, and looking around. Back then, I wasn't on Facebook nearly as much. I was using message boards at the time, like Hobby Talk and RC Tech and stuff like that.
Hobby Talk.
So, yeah, right. I found this little place that had just opened up in Newton Falls, if you know where Newton Falls is.
Yeah.
It's kind of between Akron and Youngstown off of Interstate 76 down here. Well, come to find out, it was a little rinky-dink place that used to be a dance hall, and the guy that owned the property owned full-scale sprint cars and was racing on the dirt. And he was also a powerboat racer. So the guy had some money. However, he most certainly did not put it into the RC track.
Right. Yeah,
so I kind of said, so I kind of asked him. I said, "Hey, do you mind if I try to put on an event here and see how it does?" He said, "Sure, why not?" So I did. Again, message boards all over the place, stuff like that. Um, 7 people showed up. 7.
And here we are, dude, 10 years later with over 100 entries, dude, and some of the
Yes,
most epic racing adventures I've ever been on, dude. The
and
Firecracker is awesome.
and it's very uh, um, reassuring to me to know that I have guys like Steve Pemberton and Joe Winnicky of Pemberton Raceworks coming down to run this race. Rick Talbot from KSG has won this race. I can't tell you how many times when he comes down.
Right.
Um, uh, Jimmy's now part of Ricky Kernow's Impact Racing team. It's good to have him back. We've got guys coming back into the hobby to come race with us at the gate this winter. Dave Ward's coming back. He was a hot shoe in the Hooter Chassis Outlaw Tour for a number of years. He was hard to beat. Um,
He's on an Impact chassis too, so
he's going to be running Jimmy's Impact cars, yeah, or Ricky's Impact cars, I should say.
Yeah,
Um,
I talked to Jimmy earlier today and checked that Impact chassis out on online. That is a very nice looking car.
Ricky's got some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
But when I can attract guys like that to not only sponsor the event, but to come and race and have the quality of racing that we do have, and still have the what I call the fun classes like the Legends and the Spec 10 and Mud Boss and stuff like that. It's good to see that we can pull 100 plus entries at an event like this.
That's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Anything else, Jimmy Williams, you want to talk? Any comments or upcoming secret stuff you want to share? Any kind of top secret?
no, not really with that. I'm excited to have the series back and some larger events that we're trying to bring to this area. And, we're one of the few tracks around, well, I think we're the only track in the Cleveland area that's really going to be running the 13.5 Open 12 scales, and especially the 13.5 Open 10 scales. And at this next race, we're bringing Open Mod to the area. So those are some excessively fast classes, but it normally, when it brings people into town, brings some high quality drivers, and they normally put on a pretty good show.
Yeah, so, if you guys haven't seen that short video clip of Steve and Joel running those mod cars, man, that is some crazy fast stuff. Look it up. Look it up on the I think it's Norcar, or maybe even Steve's website has it. I don't know. I have no idea.
I know Jimmy McKinley's got a video of it on his page too. I watched it.
Yeah, I saw it. I just don't remember. The last couple of days have been an absolute blur, dude, with all the videos, all the photographs that Amy posted. It's just been absolutely blurry. Man, I hope and pray that this takes off as well as I think it's going to, dude. This has been such a success for me. Just racing oval and getting back in the groove. Like I said, racing at the Firecracker felt like it did 15 years ago. I was helping Sam Fernell, the guy next to me, work on his stuff all day long and hanging out and racing together, and the fellowship was just absolutely amazing. Those guys at the Spec 10 Mafia, Henderson, and all them guys helped me out all day long. Set up my car, put it on the scales. There was absolutely a spiritual experience for me, you guys. I'm serious. It's humbling, and I try to see everything through spiritual eyes and hear everything through spiritual ears. And seriously, when I go racing, I'm looking for kind of peace. You know what I'm saying? And since I started back, like I said, 2015, I haven't had that feeling a whole lot. There's been a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, a lot of trying to figure out the setups and trying to figure out the right tools and equipment and reinvesting not only financially but time-wise in relearning the learning curve. It's not like racing 6-cell brush stuff like we all raced back in the day, where everybody was pretty much, their own guru. I used to be kind of like Wayne. When I quit racing with Wayne and all the guys at Bratnall and started parking lot racing, Wayne and them guys had pushed me to the point where I was fast, but I was never faster than them. And when I started parking lot racing, I was like, wow, these guys are not anywhere close to as fast as I am. So racing with the fast guys makes you faster. Like I was telling Tim the other day, when you go out of town, you might dominate at your home track, but then you go out of town, somebody else is always faster. And it's that whole chasing the setup all day. I ran one time at an oval race where I pulled the same lap time as Wayne Gerber. Wayne Gerber went back to the pit table, came back the next round, and was 3/10 quicker right out of the gate. So here I was thinking I had it on lock, and it was going to be competitive, and then he goes out there and goes 3/10 quicker. So you can't stop working on your stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the big thing with it.
Yeah. It takes a lot of time and mental fortitude to keep up with the rest of the guys.
Yeah, and Tommy and I talked about this on the phone the other night. You got to get to a point where you can when you're working on these cars, you have to understand what changes will do what to the car.
Yeah.
Like, an inexperienced guy is not going to feel or know what a 20,000 shim's going to do on a right rear quarter.
Right.
If you've been doing it for 30 plus years, you put a 20,000 shim on it and you go a tenth quicker, you're like, oh, okay, that's what that does.
Yeah,
or something to that effect.
Right. It's cool because I like the spec stuff anymore because there's not a whole lot you can do. Okay. There's no real camber adjustment. There's no real caster adjustments. Excuse me. Ride height, tire diameter, and all that. You don't got to worry about all that. You charge your battery, sauce the tires, throw it down, and go. I asked Wayne one time. I said, "How many thousandths of an inch when you chew a tire, a foam tire? How many thousandths of an inch do you take off to make a difference?" And he looked at me and said, 2 thousandths. And we had talked about this. I talked about this with you guys earlier, that you have to account for tire wear during a race. So by the end of that race, your car is still pretty consistent, but you might lose 2/10. And Jimmy had a story he shared with me on the phone. Tell me what you told. Wow, I can't even think, dude. Tell them what you told me about the weight of your car and what happens tire wear during a race.
You get it set up pretty consistent when you can weigh in at 36.00 ounces at the beginning of the race every single time. Now, each run I swapped tires. They were new tires. And every time it came off, it was 0.85 under, or it was 0.15 under just from the run. So, I mean, it showed the setup was good and it was a very consistent wear with the tires. But it's literally, you've got to know what to account for.
Yeah, you told me it was 36 dead when you went out, and it was 35.85 at the end of the race. So these are the things that me and Tim are going to work on. I'm going to try to help him get laid out here and try to figure out the setups and figure out the tire wear situation and that kind of thing, stuff the new guys, the details that a lot of new drivers don't know about. It's not the fact that they can't run the car. It's just the fact that sometimes, you're racing, and like I was telling Tim the other night on the phone, you're racing against guys that have been racing for over 30 years. And And a lot of these guys, I don't care if they threw a brick down with wheels on it, they figure out how to get a tenth out of it. So basically, the bigger races where it's more critical and more important, it takes the entire day usually to get your setup as a new guy, as a beginner. And like I said, I like the spec stuff, and I like to approach everything from a beginner's angle because the fast guys already know. And in order to get more people into the community and more people into racing, I myself tend to support the slower classes and the learning classes because to me, it's more fun to learn on something that doesn't cost $2,000 and you don't break a lot of parts. I assembled the 12 scale Pemberton car to run in the series, and I started adding things up, and I was a little astounded at the overall cost of building one car, where a class like the Spec 10 stuff, which I absolutely love. In fact, I ordered a TK racing chassis that we're going to be putting together here and doing a video and a review. I'm going to build another car. Like, the racing is door-to-door, bumper-to-bumper, and they're durable. If you hit the flapper or hit the boards or whatever, roll over, T-bone somebody or whatever, the car seems to hold up. Yeah, Troy posted a picture of one that was pretty demolished. I don't know if you guys saw that on TK's Racing website, but apparently he had a rough night. The thing was wadded up pretty good. and with all the big races you guys have been to, I'm sure you've seen it happen. Well, I'm going to try to teach Tim here how to get his stuff going and get set up and drive so we're not constantly breaking stuff. Because when you're just starting out, the constant expenditure of breaking things, it gets a little bit sour tasting. Right, Tim?
Oh yeah. I'm pleased so far. The past 3 races, I haven't had to put.
Yeah. I look forward to growing with you guys, man. I look forward to racing with you guys. I can't say enough, man. I was really humbled by the entire Firecracker experience, man. I couldn't stop talking about it. I still can't stop talking about it. Like I said, I wanted it to be like prom night, baby. I didn't want it to be over.
Well, the RC hobby, I tell you what, I've made some more lifetime friends that have become more like family than in any other part of my life. You know, camaraderie and just where it goes. It's, the friendships that you make at the track, they do last a lifetime.
I've been a part of a lot of different hobby communities, man. I have tried so many things, and yeah, you always encounter the cornholes in the community. There's cornholes in every community. But at the same time, it feels like family, like you said. And there's been so many other things that I've tried throughout my lifetime where it doesn't feel like that. I've tried to get away from this hobby. I've sold all my junk more than one time, and I always end up coming back because of the community and the people in it. I can't say enough, man. I really can't. The absolute amount of love and kindness that I received at the Firecracker just blew my freaking mind. Go ahead.
It's kind of like the first time I went to the Snowbirds in 2009. Okay, so at the time I was living 10 minutes from the hotel, so I didn't need to get a hotel room or anything.
Right, lucky dog.
They had actually just moved that race from, Tommy, you're familiar with Orlando, you know where International Drive is?
Yeah.
So they had been running at a hotel on International Drive, and they had just moved it to the current hotel where they've been since 2009. And that was the first year that I raced at the Snowbirds. I bought a used car from somebody in December of 2008 and was running the Snowbirds in January of 2009.
Nice.
And if I recall, the class that I ran was the last brushed motor class that ever ran at the Snowbird.
Wow.
It was a 19 turn 4-cell truck.
19-2. What about
Um, Go ahead.
what about you, Jimmy? What's your Snowbirds experience like? When did you start racing at the Birds?
I have not made the trip yet. That's
Oh.
the one that has eluded me.
Oh.
I was planning on going last year, but with everything with the COVID restrictions and not quite sure what was going on, it was just, thought about, well, I've been down to Florida before, back when Lake Whippoorwill was up and running. That's a long time ago.
That's old school, baby. Definitely.
So there's a lot of old tracks from there. I'm originally from Erie, so I did a lot of racing up near Buffalo area where Transit had that big outdoor banked oval. And it's classic back in the day around here. But this will be my first Snowbirds experience.
Oh, that sounds epic. I've been trying to get there myself. like I was telling Jimmy on the phone earlier, it's like a bucket list sort of thing. And I don't want to, like I was saying, I don't want to be that guy. I physically cannot marshal anymore. So I kind of get away with it at the club because they understand. But when you go to a big race, dude, I don't want to be that guy. If you're racing, marshaling's part of the deal kind of thing, I just can't physically do it anymore. So my man Tim there is going to be my driver if we make it to Snowbirds. You know what I'm saying?
I will tell you, Tommy, that as far as marshaling goes, there have been quite a few guys that have not physically been able to marshal, and there has not been very much said because they know that's part of the deal.
Well, it doesn't. It's not a matter of them. It's not a matter of them, dude. It's a matter of
that
me.
feeling, yeah. I know.
It's
I know
a
what you're
matter
saying.
of me.
I got you.
They probably wouldn't complain. You know what I mean? They probably wouldn't say nothing. But to me, dude, that's part of the deal. That's part of the game.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially at a huge race.
Yeah. So I know none of you guys have been down there. It is 6 solid days of racing.
Okay. Dude, I can barely do 2 days at the Firecracker. I can barely do 2 days, dude.
But the thing about the Snowbirds is, for those of you that don't know, the Snowbird Nationals is held in Orlando, Florida, at the end of January, beginning of February every year. 6 straight days of racing. It's a Tuesday through Sunday show, but it is on-road racing in the morning, and they swap over to the oval in the afternoon.
Yeah, Wayne tells me stories like they start racing at 4 a.m. Like,
anyways.
It's always
and then
an adventure.
And then the oval guys race until 2.
Yeah, that's crazy. Dude. I can't even imagine the atmosphere.
Last year's Snowbirds, of course, with the COVID stuff, was only about half of what they would consider a normal crowd there. In fact, even the race promoter, Mike Boylan, got COVID the week before the race started.
Wow.
Like that Friday before the race started on Tuesday. So he couldn't even make it. He had to do his drivers meetings and everything over Zoom.
Right.
Because he was home in Tampa because of COVID. But a normal crowd at the Snowbird, you're talking 800 plus drivers between on road and oval, and you're talking. I think when we went in 2016, we had drivers from 39 different countries around the world at the Snowbirds. There's you got all the European and Asian on-road guys. All the Canadian guys are down here. There's guys from England, Ireland, Germany, Japan, South America.
Name all 48. Name all 48, Jimmy. Come on.
Right.
Dude, I have watched it on Live RC like you were telling me before, and I don't know how many years ago it was. It's been a while, and it was like when everybody first started going live, there was a lot of technical difficulties.
Uh-huh.
I would try to watch a race, and the screen would go black, and I'd have to reboot the whole thing and start over to get back to it. But I'm sure they've improved bandwidth or whatever they need nowadays.
Yeah.
Me and Tim.
And the nice thing is, you're in Orlando in February.
Right.
The temperatures were in the 70s all week long when we were there last year. If you split a hotel room with somebody, it's very doable.
Right.
There's a hobby shop out of Arkansas that takes over a couple of the hotel rooms, so you have a full on-site hobby shop at the hotel all week long. So if you break something, you'll find something there.
Yeah, because if they don't have it, somebody in the pits probably does, right?
Correct. Yeah, you've got every major chassis manufacturers there. And all those guys are more than willing to help out guys, even if they're not team drivers.
Right.
Like I run Overworks chassis, which is kind of a competitor to Jimmy's Impact guys.
Right.
I had no issues going to Bill Malakote and all them guys and saying, hey, where do you think this should be on a chassis or whatever? Same thing with Ricky Kernow and the Impact guys. Same thing with Tommy Peters and the KSG guys. Every one of those guys are there to help somebody.
Yeah, I had talked to Tim on the phone, and we were discussing the team driver situation, and he mentioned that. You know, one of the biggest things as a new guy to the RC racing community is we're intimidated. We're afraid to ask for help. We're afraid to bother people because not only are they working on their junk, it's usually 4 classes of junk. You know, they're not just running one class. So as a new guy coming into the hobby, it gets intimidating. And if you don't have the courage to kind of humble yourself and ask for some help about what do I do to this, or how do I set this up, or what should the corner weight be, or any of those variables, it gets a little daunting when you're trying to figure it all out on your own. And thank God for YouTube, dude. There are so many videos out now on chassis setup and tweaking and tire truing tires and figuring out your rollout and everything from every class of racing. There's tons of videos. And when I first started this endeavor, I thought, well, I'm going to make some videos too, and from the beginner's aspect. For the guys that aren't fast and don't know this stuff and don't know the changes to make. Because I was telling Tim, a lot of times you got to make one change at a time and see what it does to the car. And eventually you get to the point where you can make multiple changes and know that combination of changes is going to yield positive results. Because if you make a change and the car doesn't do what you want it to, you can go back if you do one thing at a time. But if you change a bunch of stuff at once, you don't know what you did to the car to make it do what it's doing.
Detailed notes is definitely important when it comes. Anytime I make a change or whatever, even if you don't have a setup sheet near you, my pit box at the end of a race has 50 little sheets, tiny little notes written on it that all get put together on the final setup sheet for what worked at the end. But you have to take those notes, even if it's the slightest change. You've got to take those notes.
And go ahead, Tommy.
When I first got back into it and started seeing that these manufacturers had started creating setup sheets, I was like, wow, this is cool. Now I can keep track of it and keep a log. And then I started noticing the manufacturers were creating setup sheets, and the manufacturer drivers, team drivers, would race at whatever race, place on the podium, and then share their setup sheet for that weekend. So now you've kind of got an idea of a foundational setup to work from. Where
Right.
I was telling Tim, like, the manufacturers used to give you the car, give you the instructions, and give you a neutral setup. A neutral setup. Yeah, the car's going to run. Yeah, it's going to handle pretty decent, but it's not going to be optimal.
Yeah, and a lot of I guess you could call a lot of your own success on the racetrack is going to start on the bench at home.
Exactly.
Okay. Um, do like Tommy says. Find a setup sheet from the manufacturer of your car, and put a good base setup on the chassis and work off of that. Print out some blank setup sheets. So if you do make a change, you can say, okay, I put a 10,000 shim underneath the right front spring. This is what it did. I went up a tooth on the gear. This is how the car ran. I moved some weight around. This is what happened. It starts on the bench at home. Me personally, what I do is about like the weekend before a race, I will start going through cars, and I will go back because the track conditions are not going to be the same, especially at the gate with the on road stuff. And the traction moves around on that carpet so much because the layout changes so much. What worked, let's say, what worked at the Firecracker won't necessarily work at the Nationals coming up because
Right, right.
because the traction is going to move around.
Yeah,
Um,
me and Jimmy had talked about this earlier. That happens throughout the day. You know, when you're running rubber tire cars and foam tire cars together, and not only that, on road, on the carpet beforehand, the track has to come around. You know,
yes,
the traction
it's got
has
to
to
get
come
worked
around.
in.
Right. So by the end of the day, which I think you guys did a very good job of maintaining that at the Firecracker, the a lot of guys are separating the foam tire and the rubber tire classes and either doing it before or after, which makes sense to me. And me and Jimmy Williams had a conversation on the phone where the, the the fibers of the carpet also get worked different directions when you go
Yes,
from on road to off road. Yeah, on road to oval. So it takes a few, maybe a heat
laps.
racer. Yeah, it takes a few laps to get it dialed in. And it's just like real racing. I have a book called Prepared to Win. And Chuck Mackin likes to watch Formula One and NASCAR and all that. And we were talking at Gate one weekend, and he said something about pit strategy. And I started thinking about that. And I'm like, the guy, he said, I can't remember what race it was, but the guy who won the race, the NASCAR race, won it because they had a good pit strategy. And a lot of times, dude, I never realized that until I really started thinking about it. Your pit strategy is just as important as your lap times. So working on your stuff before you get there and getting the baseline set up and doing the maintenance and then working on your setup when you get there is just as important. Pit strategy is a huge factor in how your day goes, how your lap times are affected. I made a little two-part Legends video based on that book, Prepared to Win. And Wayne and those guys all, they laugh and joke. I say, Wayne tells me if it moves, polish it. You know what I mean? Yeah, it
Yeah,
makes sense. If it moves, polish it. Make it as smooth as you can. So, little Legends cars, and I made that little two-part video, and I went to the track. I took the entire car apart. I did the whole video, put it all back together, went to the track on Tuesday night, and nobody could keep up with me. And they're like, oh, dude, I love your video. And I'm like, well, did you do anything? Obviously you didn't follow the strategy. But anyway, that's pit strategy to me is now always in the forefront of my brain when it comes to getting my car on the track.
yeah, and with our um, once a month oval racing, guys should or will have time tear down cars and go through them before the next race.
Right.
It's not like we're racing weekly. Did we lose Tim?
Yeah, I guess so.
It looks like we did.
Yeah, I don't know if he got bored or just didn't feel good or what. Let's see here. He messaged me. He said everyone went off and then his closed. Mine won't let me back on. It was a great time. Gonna just head to bed.
Okay.
Yeah, so evidently he's had some software issues or something, some phone issues. We'll have him back. I'll talk to him more in depth about getting things set up and dialing things in as a newcomer to the RC racing world. I try to go for an hour here, guys. We got about 15 minutes left. If there's anything you wanna drill on or talk about, if you can make it for the 15 minutes, we'll go. If not, we'll bail. Whatever you guys want to do.
Well, I'm going to go back to Jimmy's point about the carpet oval racing in the Cleveland area specifically.
Okay.
There are several other tracks around the Northeast Ohio area. You go a little bit further south, you're going to find at least 2 tracks down there. You got the one out in Ashtabula. However, there is not many tracks around this area that where we can run our pan cars.
Right.
Specifically the classes that we like to run, like SK, like 17.5 stock, like 13.5 open, 12 scale 13.5 open. So again, with this, with the gate allowing us to put the oval racing together again here on a somewhat regular basis, it gives us that opportunity to run our cars. One of the big things that Jimmy and I had talked about was Snowbirds again. There's no other track in this area that comes even close to the Snowbird style track.
Okay.
As far as the classes run, as far as the black carpet goes, and as far as the size goes. Most of the other tracks are classes like the Legends cars, classes like your Mud Boss, your ready to run type stuff.
Right.
So there's not really many places where close by, anyways, that Jimmy and I could go run our 13.5 open cars and go run our 17.5 stock cars. So I'm very thankful that we were able to work with those guys at the gate. I'm glad that Jimmy came along and got back into the hobby, and he kind of jump started this whole thing about getting oval racing going again. So
yeah, I think jump starting it is a good term, dude. It's really taken off.
Another thing I've noticed too is that when we do have our oval days at the gate, we get a really nice crowd there.
Yeah.
I know the on-road side has been the bread and butter of the gate. Those guys have been doing that for 40 years in that club. But I feel like we have brought a good crowd there every time we run oval.
Yeah, for sure.
And we've even brought some of the on-road guys over to the oval side.
Yes, I noticed this.
And a couple of them guys told me at the Firecracker this weekend, they go, man, this was so much fun to run this race this weekend.
Yeah, the club race that we had at the gate, I believe Dante got talked into it. He drove Freddie's street stock car and was instantly hooked. And then the next thing you know, Dante and Kevin both show up with street stock cars. So
Yeah.
the on-road guys got a little taste, baby. I think
They
they kind
like
of
that
figured it
door
out.
stuff.
Yeah, dude, that's a little more fun for those guys. They love that. Go on, Jimmy.
So I mean, that's pretty much all I was getting at. Was that we bring a crowd every time we run oval. We brought some of those on road guys over to the dark side, they call it. So I'm glad that we've been able to work with the track on it.
Yeah, I believe you guys are making a serious dent. I really do. And like I said, I hope this grows by epic proportions, you guys. I really can't wait. I haven't been this excited about RC racing in a long time. I'm serious. Like, you go through that whole bad day at the track situation every weekend. You know what I mean? So,
You always just got to look at it, though. No matter what you're doing in life, everyone has a bad day at something.
yeah.
We've all gotten frustrated. We've all dropped out of the hobby for a while, whether it be frustration a little bit or whether it's life itself just makes it hard to actually maintain, whether it's financially or just mentally.
Yes.
You don't have the time to prepare to get to the track, so it just makes you frustrated at the track because you're so busy in life other ways. So, but anyone I know that's dropped out always finds their way back into the hobby at some point. And all it takes is one little taste of borrowing someone's car or, something like that. And that's what we end up with. It's addicting.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, yeah. Yeah. Well, any closing remarks, guys? We're about done here.
Just that a big thank you to Norcor and the crew there. All of our class sponsors that we had at the Firecracker, PCC Quartz, Magic Hobbies, Inside Line Raceway, Pro Collision, Power Push Batteries, um, uh, the Michiana Oval Racing League sponsored a couple classes, Dusty Rose Transport, BAM Speed for sponsoring the 13.5 Open class, Team CRC for giving us a car to raffle off this
That was
weekend.
awesome.
The Spec 10 Mafia guys for just handing me a chassis to raffle off. And all you guys for coming out to make the race a huge success that it was this weekend. So hopefully we'll be bigger and better next year.
And Jimmy Williams, how's it feel to be the 13.5 champ, baby? Woo! That was fast stuff.
The car for its debut on the track in that class, the car really came alive in the second, third heat, and then into the main. So I'm definitely very happy with the Outcast and its ability and versatility on the track. So
Awesome. Well, I want to say thank you guys for taking the time out to spend with me tonight on the live stream. I hope to see you soon at the track, man. Like always, God bless you fellas till next time, man. I'll see you in the future.
All right, we'll
Thank
see you in
you.
August, buddy.
Yep.
see you in August.